Welcome to Better Business Results. My name's John Whitt, and I'm your host. I work with business owners, executives, and sales professionals in 30 minutes or less each week to generate better business results. I'm the owner of BusinessWhitt, a published author, and a senior leader in the FocalPoint International Coaching Organization, where we have over 180 coaches on all 7 continents. Albert Einstein's quoted as saying that compound interest is the most powerful formula in the universe. If you were to improve your business 0.1% on a daily basis, you would be almost 24% more effective and more efficient at the end of 1 year. You too can harness the power of compound interest for your business, generating 3 action items each week. That's what we're here to do. Let's get started. Today our guest is Steve Gambier. Steve is founder and president of ERGO21 Custom Seat Cushions. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
And we're really lucky today because we're actually getting to sit on ERGO21's custom seat cushions. They actually are pretty comfortable. I met Steve about a year ago, and he actually gave me a gift of one of these cushions just to kind of test it out. It's been in my car ever since, and I love it. My wife loves it. It's pretty impressive, and I'm really happy that you joined us today.
Thank you.
Let's take a couple minutes, maybe even at the beginning, and talk about how did you get started? Where did ERGO21 come from? Why is ERGO21 your passion?
For the last 20 years, I have been in sales. So I used to sell Visa, MasterCard merchant services, and I used to drive 4 to 6 hours in the Los Angeles traffic.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
And my back used to kill. No matter what type of cushion I bought, I used to stop at various stores and buy a cushion a month. Nothing works. So finally, I had like 13 cushions behind my sofa. So my wife says, you should design your own cushion. So that's when I figured, let me get a good chair for my office also, because I used to sit for a long time. So I did my research. I started researching different materials, why other cushions are not working. Then I stumbled upon this technology called Liquicell. Liquicell was being used in hospital beds, in long distance trucking seats, in medical recliners for kidney dialysis patients who sit 4 to 6 hours and their butt gets numb. So I spoke with the president of Liquicell in Minnesota, and he flew down to see me in Newport Beach, and I tested his technology. He gave me a thin liquid film membrane, like a towel type thing, which you can fold and take it in your pocket. So he said, Steve, you don't need the foam, because some chairs already have a foam. So I said, okay, I'll try it. I drove like the whole day, and my bottom was not sore.
So it worked. It was effective.
It worked.
And so Liquicell technology is really the driving force behind ERGO21.
Yeah. So that's how I started the business, 2009. We ordered 5,000 of those thin liquid film membrane cushions. We had a fan following. Pilots used to call us. Everybody who used the cushion called us. But the thing was, since it was thin, it didn't have any foam. Some people used to call and say, is this a joke? Like, where is the cushion?
Right, because before, this would sit on an existing cushion. That would be fine.
Exactly.
Okay.
But a lot of people, then we found out we had 8% return on Amazon. And Amazon almost shut us down. So then I figured it out. I looked at a lot of reviews on Amazon of other cushions, and I spoke with a lot of people. Some people who got the thin cushion, they said, I'm going to send it back. I said, did you at least sit on it? And when they sat, they said, oh, okay, send me 2 more.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. So before we go on that, the key to this thing, though, that I really enjoyed is that, you are the customer in many ways. You were the test case, right? And
Exactly.
because you were dealing with the same things so many other people are dealing with in the marketplace. And I commuted to Los Angeles for 6 years at one time.
Right.
I totally get it. And because it was able to satisfy your need, you decided, hey, listen, we need to figure out how to get this out to other people. Other people can really benefit from this.
Exactly.
And it solves so many problems, right? So let's talk about that. Who's your ideal? Who ideally benefits the most from ERGO21 Seat Cushions?
Okay, so that's what I'm coming to. When I spoke with all these customers, I found out some were sitting in wheelchairs. Some didn't have good office chairs. Some had herniated discs. Some had L4, L5 issues, broken tailbones, tailbone injuries. Finally, I came to the decision that one cushion is not the solution for everyone. So that's when I decided to go back to the drawing board, and I came up with a sports cushion for wheelchair, for patio chairs, for people 200 pounds or more. I came out with a coccyx cushion with a cutout in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the coccyx cushions out there, I don't know if you are aware, they are short, like they go only 13 inches from front to back. And that cuts off a circulation of people who are 180 pounds or more. And
Right.
most of the people who have back
Wouldn't
issues
work
are
for
those
me.
people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And how about a 6-foot guy sitting on a 13-inch cushion?
Yeah, it wouldn't be comfortable.
Exactly. So then I figured, why not make like different sizes?
Mm-hmm.
So that was our key to success. And the innovation that went into it was, the beauty of the coccyx cushion was, when we made it different sizes, you can now rotate it and you don't have to sit on the coccyx all the time. Like my brother, he goes to India, he goes to Peru, he comes back, his tailbone hurts for 2 days. So he sits on the coccyx part, and then when it's not hurting, he turns
He just
it around.
rotates it around.
It's a brilliant, brilliant design.
So people that have back pain, clearly, or people that are sitting, maybe forced to sit in a wheelchair, or they have medical issues. But it's not just that, right? People that drive in cars for 6 and 7 hours a day.
Exactly. Take your example. Like when you said, oh, I go to the gym, I work hard, and I'm okay, my back is okay. But now you have been using the cushion for a year or something.
Oh, it's so comfortable. It I gotta be honest, it wasn't like I needed one, but now I use it all the time.
Exactly. How about,
and I just leave it in the car.
How about a person who cannot go to the gym, or who has back issues? He doesn't exercise. So we have a lot of customers who have many surgeries. They just sit there. One guy from Kentucky, he called me. He said, Steve, I have 14 cushions. I have gel cushion, bead cushion, water cushion, foam cushion. He said, I got even a toilet seat from Home Depot. He says, which I use when I sit in front of a computer, and when guests come in, I quickly put it away.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta keep up appearances.
Yeah. So he says, I was a paramedic, and lifting all those patients affected my back, and had multiple surgeries. I did not tell you before, but now I just drove 180 miles, and I could sit even another 180 miles. And he says, he says, when I was driving with your cushion, I looked at my wife and I said, my back is not hurting. You think it's the cushion?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that's the only thing that's different, right?
Exactly.
So that's quite a success story.
Yeah, that was like on a Friday, he sent me an email, which really made all the efforts that I have put in worthwhile.
Uh-huh.
So that's what and another customer, I'll tell you, Mr. J.R. Kilpatrick, he's on Amazon also. So he gets our sports cushion because he's in a wheelchair 12 hours a day.
Uh-huh.
And he says, I called him because I knew he had called me and asked which cushion should I get. So I was concerned and I wanted to find out if the cushion really helped him. So I called him 2 days later. He says, yeah, I got your cushion. I have 8 other cushions. And it's just a cushion. So, but I'll use it because in your literature it says use it for 10 or 20 days.
Okay.
Because of when a person is sitting for days, like 10 years, and they have all these issues, they expect miracles.
Well, we'd like it to go away right away.
Exactly.
Yes. We're in the society of instant gratification.
So what I did was, I handled that objection because with each cushion I sent a note saying that you have been sitting all this time, your skin has broken down, you have sores, so give it a chance to heal. Some of the people notice it right away who don't have serious problems. So he said, okay, let me give it a try for 8 more days. After 10 days, he put it on Amazon. He didn't even call me.
He put a nice review on Amazon.
He said that his caseworker, he used to carry him to the doctor to check the sores under his bottom.
Uh-huh.
For 10 years of sores, 95% went away in 10 days.
So let's talk about skin breakdown, because this is the key, right? This is why the liquid cell
key to the
technology works,
right?
right? So describe what's going on there.
So we have a couple of videos on our website that explains the skin breakdown. So what happens is now when you're sitting on this chair, like you and me are sitting, so after 10 minutes, even no matter what chair you have, gel, foam or air or whatever, after you sit for 10 or 20 minutes, there will be somewhere your skin will touch.
Pressure point.
Yeah, and this will create friction. So in order to avoid this friction, we just move a little. So see now what happened to me when
Yeah,
I
you
move.
just shifted a little bit.
See now my neck is misaligned.
Okay.
I have a slight pressure on my right hip, and also my right buttock has a more pressure. So now I'm avoiding that skin breakdown and I'm typing or whatever, and this is how then you are sitting all day long.
Uh-huh.
But with LiquiCell technology, there's no pressure. The skin breakdown, the blood keeps flowing under the tailbone and the thighs.
Okay.
So miraculously, a lot of people if you go to Amazon and our website, they write, and these are verified reviews.
Uh-huh.
I know Amazon had a big thing that people are faking the reviews.
Well, yeah.
So a lot of people, they are surprised that their thigh pain went away, their sciatica pain went away, their hip pain went away. And one lady even wrote, I go home and I'm relaxed and I sleep better. So that's the side effect of our pillows.
So
Cushions.
when you think about it, I mean, the way you solve these problems, right? Because they've got back pain, they've got neck pain, they've got various different pain, and the reason why they have that is because of this skin breakdown thing.
Right.
The way you solve these is the LiquiCell
It's the LiquiCell technology.
It allows that blood circulation to continue, and that makes it so that they don't feel the need to shift and get into
Exactly.
these funny positions all the time.
Right.
And so that's it. And I know that you've spent a ton of time building, special products, different types of products, and you mentioned 2 or 3 of them beforehand. And that customer service is one of your key components. Share about how your customer service works.
As you know, like in this present time, like you look at big companies like Amazon, like Zappos, they pride themselves on the customer service.
Mm-hmm.
Free returns, free shipping, no question asked. So that's the principle I've followed.
That's the model.
Exactly. So when a customer gets my cushion and somehow it didn't fit their need because they are too tall or too short or extreme,
Whatever.
they buy the wrong cushion, we just send them a new cushion. We don't even ask them to pay for it. We send them with a return label. And most of the time it's weird because with it I write a note that maybe that cushion you sat on did not work in your car. So maybe you should try it in your office and try this in your car.
Okay.
So
you
half
just
the
jump
time
right
they
on
just
it.
half the time they keep both.
Right. Well, okay. So you just jump right out, regardless what it is.
Exactly.
You're focused 100% on the customer experience.
Yeah, and that's when people, funny thing, like since you mentioned this, every week I get 2 or 3 customers. They call me and they say, Steve, I was looking at 200 cushions on Amazon. I went on Google. I read all the reviews, and the only reason I'm buying it is because of your customer service. You take care of customers.
Okay, excellent. And that's such a key component. I mean, it's important that you have a good product. If you didn't have a good product, then you wouldn't get good reviews. But at the end of the day, customer service is it, because life throws us curveballs all the time, and there's always interruptions here or there. I mean, my daughter was coming home from Colorado and was 7 hours late because of a flight weather issue in Chicago. Now, is that anybody's fault? Not really. It's a weather issue, right? But yeah, it's not about how can I stop that. It's about what do I do with it, right? So they took care of her. She actually made it here on time. So that was a big deal. So you great customer service and you great product, a variety of product. And you mentioned some new product that just has come out as well.
So I was researching like a lot of customers of ours. So that's a good power that I'm explaining that why it's better to talk to the customer and get their feedback. So after talking with like many customers, I had this idea and I meditate every day, like 30 minutes a day. I have been meditating for 30 years.
It keeps your
all
serenity.
my ideas come from meditation. In fact, before we sat down, I was pointing you to this list.
Uh-huh.
So after meditation, I write a list of the thoughts and ideas that come to me.
Oh, excellent.
So one of my meditation sessions was, like a lot of people, they said their neck hurts and they can't sleep well. And a true example was my mom, 80 years old mom who comes to stay with us 3 months. We are 4 siblings. We share my mom 3 months each.
Uh-huh.
So each time she came, she always complained about neck and head pain. So I used to have like 4 different pillows. I said, Mom, try this, and try this. So every time she says, no, this is not good, this is not good. So in one of my meditation sessions, I said, okay, if LiquiCell is being used in hospital beds to prevent sores and keep the blood flowing, why not use it in a pillow?
In a pillow. So now we've got a pillow product.
Exactly. So then I started researching about pillows, and I went through so many pillows, and I figured it's a logistic nightmare because a lot of customers I spoke with, they love their pillow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I have mine. Yeah.
Exactly. And then after 3 years, they get another of the same pillow. So I came to this idea, why not make a pillowcase
Okay.
with the liquid in it?
All right. So you have a pillowcase that goes on any pillow.
Any pillow, yeah. And it's
so
two sizes,
they're getting
queen
all the
and
benefit.
king. Yeah.
Okay.
And they just slip it on their favorite pillow. And the beauty is that you can take it with you when you travel.
Oh, sweet.
Because you don't have to carry. A lot of people carried their own pillow, including me.
I hate to carry. I like to carry my own pillow, but I don't like it because I don't like the space that it takes.
Yeah,
right?
we launched it 2 weeks ago. Brilliant. My mom, she slept 3 hours longer. And she got up, she says, no neck pain. It's been now 4 months.
Yeah. And you did a bicycle seat too,
We
right?
did okay, another thing was, I go to the gym where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of time, like the seat used to hurt, and then I have a bicycle, like a bike around my complex.
Okay.
And after 10 minutes, I cannot ride anymore. So I looked at different bicycle seats, and I went on Amazon and other websites, and I ordered like 18 bicycle seats. And then I cut open all the bicycle seats, and I spoke with Liquicell. So we designed a special liquid membrane for the bike seat. The only thing was I did not want to use the molded foam because all the bicycle seat had molded foams. What that does is it closes the pores of the foam. When it closes the pore of the foam, it's another bicycle seat.
Okay.
Then when you said it still hurts. So I found a foundry in Colorado that does custom foam for us, and they have a branch in Los Angeles. So we gave them our specification. We needed an open cell foam. We got a few samples going. It took us 6 months to back and forth on which foam to use. Finally, when we narrowed it on the foam, the stitching was a big issue because the molded foam you just mold and it costs 30% less and it doesn't require any hand stitching. So our foam, because it was not molded and it was the same thickness though, 1.5 inches, but it required double stitching by hand.
All right. And you did it.
So we did it. And it's out now. We got our first review. Somebody in Arizona, he rode 45 miles with no pain.
45 miles with no pain. Well, you see, you've got a variety of success stories. You have the gentleman in, and I can't recall, was it Kentucky? Who's the guy that was able to go 180 miles, drove 180 miles?
Yeah, Mr. Chalsky, yeah.
Yeah, so he was able to drive 180 miles with no pain, and he had pain previously. Then you have the guy in the wheelchair, right, who was able to...
And I want to add one more.
Okay.
So in last December, Ricky H., he calls me from North Carolina. He says, I am from this trucking company and I want to see my sister in Ohio and it's a 500-mile journey and I have many cushions and I read your reviews and Uber drivers are using it, pilots are using it, so I'm fascinated with this technology. What if it doesn't work? I said, money back guarantee.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he says, can you ship it to me like overnight? And free shipping, right? So he says. So I thought about it and I said, look, the guy's in pain in my mind. So why not, instead of doing like charity work, let's send him overnight shipping. So I took the cushion myself to the post office. And it cost me $69 to ship it. Okay. And the cushion is $89.95.
Okay,
and if it didn't work out, I was going to send him the return label and give him his money back.
Right.
So I told him, Rick, I want to send you the cushion, but you have to promise me when you start driving, when you reach there, at least call me. He said, oh, yeah, I'll call you. So he reached Atlanta and he texted me 2 lines, so far so good. And then I have his note on the website. He sends me a note on Friday. He says, I forgot to tell you that I had 7 surgeries. I have a plate in my back. And he says, I drove 580 miles. He says, no pain. None, he says. He says, this cushion on a scale of 1 to 5 is a 15. And I want to be a spokesperson. And how much for 3 more?
Oh, that's awesome. That is a great story.
Yeah, that's when I felt like, I'm doing something good, and I felt really
It's not just about products,
Emotionally.
right? How do you feel? I mean, yeah, he feels good, you feel good. That's just what a connection. That's awesome. Talk about hidden benefits, right? What are customers surprised at? You know, they've made an investment on the cushion and they get it. They said, what are the things that they're surprised at that they find out that they get that's maybe even a little different than what they expected?
First thing they notice it that it looks good. Because we chose high-end fashion nylon.
Okay, so it looks good.
It looks good, and you have been using it for a year, and I'll bet you that it looks still new.
It looks brand new, and there's no wear on it at all.
Exactly. So it's like the fabric is very durable. It's spill resistant. It's water repellent. It's dirt repellent.
So the quality
is awesome, and also the bottom of our original cushion, we used a high-end silicone ink like they use in sticky yoga gloves, so it sticks to the surface.
Okay, it
in
doesn't
fact,
slide
one
around.
lady
Yeah.
said, I have my BMW or some car. She says it looks very classy.
Yeah.
And not only that, it works. She says, I just drove 13 hours. And another lady wrote that I drove 5 hours without even getting out of my car. That was like,
Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
That's
because
big.
every hour she says I have to get out of the car because something hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's some of the, when people call, they are very joyful.
Yeah, there's a lot of hidden benefits, right? But the fact that it doesn't slide around, especially on leather seats, right? And the fact that it lasts for pretty much ever. I mean, I've had mine for a year and it's still doing just fine. That's a great success story, and I appreciate that. In addition to all of that, you're a small business owner, right? So when it comes to running a small business, there's always kinds of challenges that we run into. And so as we transition into that part of our show, we're going to talk a little bit about the Sigmoid Curve.
Okay.
And I'll walk you through the Sigmoid Curve. We'll figure out where you are in the curve, right? And then we'll have a little discussion about, where is it, what is it you think we might be able to get and some movement, right?
Sure,
Moving
yeah.
in your business, right?
Thank you.
All right, so there's 3 phases, right? The first phase in the Sigmoid Curve, and everything, whether it's a business or life, everything else goes through this cycle. So the first one is the learning phase, right? And there's some different traps that we have to be careful of in each one of these phases. There's 2 of them in the learning phase. The second one is the growth phase, and the last one is the decline phase, right? So if we take a look at the learning phase, the trap that we will have to watch out for first is the honeymoon trap, because a lot of cases people will have some initial early success, and they'll not, they'll go spend that money, right? And that doesn't mean that they figured it all out and that they have their marketing systems in place. In fact, the biggest example of excess in this case is in the .com explosion, where people collecting millions of dollars from venture capitalists, and they would have these lavish parties in Las Vegas, and then 3 months, 4 months later, they were just gone. They were done because they hadn't really figured out what their business model was. So the second one is the 3 feet from gold phase. And in many ways, I think you've gone through both of these particular phases. 3 feet from gold is where you're working hard, you're getting closer, you've had some success. And the key to the 3 feet from gold phase is to never give up, right? If you give up and you move off, right, you never know where that next step, when the next thing was. And it takes a lot of time and energy to get to the 3 feet from gold phase in the first place.
Right.
And if you keep shifting, then you never get to be an expert. You never get to be able to command the marketplace.
Right.
So you have to just keep working through the 3 feet from gold phase. The founder's trap is usually when you've got some consistent revenues, consistent profit, right? But now the question becomes, how do I scale, right? As an individual and a business owner, and I work with a lot of clients that are in this particular trap, they really don't know how to move to systems and processes that will allow them to, keep track of 80 to 90% of what they've got going on without necessarily having to do it themselves, right? So we want to put some systems and processes in place. Ultimately, we take a look at this thing called the Midas trap, and King Midas turned everything to gold, right?
Right.
And some people, their business is just going. It's very successful, and the key is to not take your eye off the ball. And if you don't have a system and a process in place to keep your eye on the ball all the time, you can get into some pretty big trouble. And if you think about it, you've got recent examples like Blockbuster or Blockbuster Video or Circuit City, both of which aren't available to us anymore, right?
Right.
So they really didn't keep their eye on the ball too well.
Right.
And then ultimately we have this thing called the denial trap. And this is where you can see on this curve where it's already started heading down, right? So realistically, as soon as the growth curve starts to shift to something less, right? That's when we need to be aware of. And we have the opportunity at that point to maybe do something else. But we get people that say, everything's fine. It's not a big deal. It's fine. We're going to get there, right? And what happens is it just continues to crash and crash and crash until it's all the way gone. And if you think about that, the most glaring example is RIM products with the BlackBerry phones,
Right.
So they were top of the world. Everybody had a BlackBerry phone for the longest period of time. And
Yeah.
then Apple came along and all the other ones came along. They said, it's going to be fine. And now I think RIM has, I don't know, some really tiny market share in that particular case. But the key to all of this, right, is at that top, right, is we have the ability then to actually turn that into the opportunity phase. So as long as we're not losing sight of the ball in the Midas trap, we have the ability to create opportunity. And that curve going up looks a little bit like the curve down at the bottom where we've got 3 feet from gold turning up to the founder's trap. So for you, where do you see yourself on this curve?
I think I'm between the founder's trap and the growth phase.
Founder's trap. So at the bottom end of the growth phase where the founder's trap is. And so we talk about scaling and systems and models and processes.
Exactly.
Right? So what are the kinds of things off the top of your head here that you think need to be addressed? What are the things that are keeping you from your highest value activities?
The most important thing I think is like to get the word out about the cushions.
So that's your highest value activity.
Do some viral marketing, social media, which we have already started with good results. So we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. In fact, I found you on LinkedIn.
Right.
And the funny thing is about LinkedIn, like even my manufacturer, who I did business with like 5 years ago, and I was looking through LinkedIn, I found him there. So I'm finding that we need to spend more time there. So that's a challenge to get the word out.
Okay, so getting the word out is highest and best use. That's where you should spend the most of your time.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then also I would like to spend more time to marketing to catalogs. Because
Catalogs,
a lot
okay.
of catalogs, they sell other cushions also. And now that we have a whole line of cushions, which is really beneficial for them to put our cushions, because we have all like 500, mostly 5-star reviews on Amazon.
Okay.
Which I think the other cushions have not put that much effort into putting it on Amazon and monitoring the reviews.
Okay.
So that was a key thing with our success that's going to build us now.
So getting more exposure through catalogs,
Social
and just
media,
spending time. So and what else?
TV advertising.
TV advertising.
That's the next step we are looking at.
Okay, so here's the question then. The next, if that's where you want to go, and that's where you
It's called branding.
What are
So
the things?
we
Yeah.
want to brand it?
Okay, you want to work on your branding, getting your exposure, right? So what are the things that you find yourself doing today that don't have anything to do with that?
I would say that I would like to step out of the phase of customer service and
Okay.
looking at feedback, calling people, because that takes a lot of
Time and
my
energy.
time.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have done a good job with it, and I can easily transfer that knowledge to somebody
Okay.
and then monitor him for a couple of months and hand it out.
Okay. So there you go. What's the first step? What's the first step in doing that?
The first step in doing that is as soon as we get some revenue and sales going, hire another person
Okay.
who'll take care of that.
All right. So this is a little chicken and the egg thing, right? We got the
Exactly.
sales, we got the revenue thing, and we got customer
Yeah,
service.
so far I don't mind doing it. I mean, I even at night before I go to bed, I look at the reviews, I look at the it's
But it's a keystone challenge, right? Because if I'm stuck in the chicken and the egg thing, right? I need more revenues before I can hire somebody,
Right.
Right. So how do you hire somebody without necessarily
like
having
you
the
showed
cash
us
flow?
the curve. So there we are, 3
Yeah.
feet from the goal.
So for example, technology companies in the .com boom, right? How did they hire people? They didn't have any money, right? How did they hire people? How did they get started?
So right now I think we are at this stage where we can actively seek for investors.
Okay, so getting some investors.
Exactly, because the product line is all set. Every product that we came out with went through 3 or 4 modifications. That's the power of feedback and listening to reviews.
Okay.
So if somebody didn't like the slope, we added the slope. If somebody didn't like the size, we added another size. By the way, the sports large and the coccyx large cushion, 250 pound people were okay with it. Now I get calls from people who are 300 pounds, 350 pounds, because those are the people that
They've
have
got-
back issues.
They have problems.
So last week we just ordered material for 300 pounds plus people, and we call it extra large.
So let's go back to your investors question, right? Because that's what we're looking at, right? Because the cash flow isn't there to be able to hire the team, right? What do you need to do to begin to reach out to investors?
So what we did was I already took part in a this Thai Foundation conference where there was like 20 investors who came to listen to pitch from 13 people.
Okay, so you've got to get in front of investors.
Exactly. And they were giving awards to 3 people with the most interesting product, and we won.
Oh, okay, congratulations.
And we had a booth there at the conference. 1,000 people came, and everybody bought the cushions. They loved it.
So what's the next step?
So I have a couple of investors who are willing to invest. So I have to sit with them now.
Okay.
And also see what makes sense.
Yeah. So what is it that the investors want and need from you?
Now, I think the other way around. I think, what do I need from the investors?
Well, yeah, but if they're going to make an investment, it's about what do they want, right?
Exactly.
We have to go into what's in it for them.
So I'm looking for investors who have some knowledge of manufacturing.
Okay.
And who have some knowledge of putting our cushions into different channels. So a Shark Tank will be a good thing. So I'm going to send them a video of our product. So a person like who's already on HSN or Bed Bath & Beyond or Walmart or catalogs. So those are the kind of people, or even the production facility where we can scale.
Well, let's go back a minute here. I'm going to go back into the what's in it for them, right? What does your investor need from you? What do they need from you to be comfortable making an investment?
So they need to see, now that we are successful, all our cushions are doing good. We hardly have many returns.
Okay, and how do you demonstrate your success? You give them financials?
Yeah, they can ask for financials. They can go on Amazon and read all the reviews.
Well, but they're looking for revenue, financial.
Oh yeah, we
goals,
have
right?
Amazon history.
Okay, so
Like
you can
Amazon,
give them a financial
monthly
package.
review. Yeah, because we have to pay sales tax. So we have all.
What kind
that
of returns are they looking for?
So I would say, depending on the investment and how much time they are involved. So if they are willing to grow with us, then we are willing to work with them.
Well, no, the question is, what kind of return do they want? So if I've got, I'm just going to say $1 million, right? And I'm willing to make an investment. Well, I'm going to invest $1 million so that I get something back. You know, I want more than $1 million coming back. So for your typical investors, and if you don't know, then maybe this is one of the tasks. Let's go figure out what that is,
Exactly.
right? What is it that they want and need in return so that they're comfortable making this investment?
Yeah. So what we'll do is, I'll have my financial CPA work on this. Right off the top of my head, it depends on how we grow and how much money we need and how much money they can bring later on when we are growing. And let's say Staples orders 50,000 cushions because they have 5,000 stores, and then you put 20 cushion in each store. We need 50,000 cushions. So at that level, then we can decide how much investment is needed and what they bring to the table.
Okay.
And then we
Well, it
can
sounds like you
offer
need
them
to-
like whatever 10 to 20% of the equity.
Well, we want to
If they are
offer
willing
them
to work with us.
what they need. Okay, and so you have to put together that package.
Exactly.
That's a big key, right? Because then because again, it's sort of, we're looking at the, if I get the investors, then I can do the customer service, then I can get the exposure, right? So investors, it's a big key, right? It's a big step for you, spending some time and energy in that particular area. What else would help for you to, how else can you hire, let's go back up. How else did those .com companies hire people? Even though they had no money.
So right now, the thing is, I can do some guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
and you are.
Yeah. And like you said, you have a program that for such so-and-so dollars, you can send a 1-minute thing to how many stations? 70, 80?
It's like 70 million. Well, it's
70
80 different stations. It's $70 million.
That will give us
70 million eyeballs.
That will give us a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
And that will be a good entree, because into this business, not everybody is surfing the web or looking for cushions on the web. A lot of people don't even know they need a cushion. So if we can focus on that market, I think it's going to be huge. We can have an infomercial, like 15-20 minute infomercial, like there's an infomercial about other products.
Well, let's go back for just a minute, right? We're talking about, and I kind of wanted to bring this up, but in the .com explosion, you know, what they did, what the technology companies did to be able to bring on staff, even though they may not have had cash flow. So they went to investors. That was one way they did it. But the other is that they established, ownership opportunities, partial ownership, right? So if you come work for me, and you stay here for a year, then you are vested in the company and you get 1% or 2% or something of that sort. So basically, we're creating different revenue streams for them as opposed to necessarily a paycheck, right? Because we don't have a paycheck
Right.
today.
Right.
So there's different ways that we could look at and explore in that particular fashion. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
You have some people that, if they've got the
I'm willing. I'm open.
right. Well, no. So it's about spending some time figuring out what are these ways that I can grow, even though I have these constraints that are in my way. So you've got investors, you've got ownership opportunities. You've got to put together your investor prospectus. So you've got 3 or 4 different things that you can start to kick around on getting this stuff going, because this is what's holding you back, right?
Exactly.
If you had all of this stuff, then boom, we're out of here.
Right.
Okay. Well, so this was a great discussion. I've really appreciated
Thank
that.
you. Yeah.
Before we leave today, you've been in sales for 20 or 30 years. You've been running this business since 2010. Share what your key insights as a business owner or operator are. What are your key insights? Share with the audience your key insights.
My key insight, because I was in the merchant services business, and I must have signed up 5,000 merchants.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a insight into 5,000 different businesses. So I would say that look for a product that's unique. Then brand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw one of your videos this morning. I got up at 5.
Oh, okay.
Where you were talking like, have a website.
Uh-huh.
Get an email account.
Well, all of those seems sort of easy. In fact, getting something besides just a Gmail account, right? Getting a professional email account.
Yeah. So, and spend time on the website. Then once you have a website and you have a product, then talk with customers when they come to your website. Like, ask them what they liked. Was it easy to navigate? As you can see this morning, like the Black Friday, 50% of the sale is on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
All the retail
And it's just
stores
going
are
up,
closing.
right? Yeah, it's going
Most
up.
of them are closing. And e-commerce is the biggest opportunity. So I'm very excited. Every day I come up and I tweak my website. I'll put a...
Okay, and this is something that you actually do, right?
Exactly.
So you're taking personal ownership of this interface. It's actually your key customer
A
interface.
customer calls me. He says, which cushion should I buy? I said, ding, ding. Put a cushion should I buy right below the cushion. They click on it and they read about it.
All right, so you're able to actually do that. So now, not everybody has the skill set or the talent, but somebody has to do that, right? Because e-commerce, the world is buying products on the internet, and they're not buying less; they're buying more every year.
And this is a golden opportunity. You can look at it both ways, because you can either open a store and spend thousands of dollars, or you can have an e-commerce store.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to spend thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
even though my website is now costing me more than a store.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, then we'll take a look at that as well. So,
Yeah.
Steve, I really appreciate it. Tell me a little bit about your experience being on the show. Right? It started with, we had a conversation last week.
Right.
And then we spent a little bit of time earlier today, and then we actually did the show. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I loved it. So I mean, we came here. You made me coffee in the back. And I'm all caffeined up.
Well, we get you started, yeah.
And then you went over the program that you have. And I enjoyed watching your videos. And you come across really good. And it sounds that you can help increase our business.
Yes. Well, I'm
So
looking forward to it.
definitely, yeah.
Steve, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We'll see you all next week.